Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our session today on our program, Cholesterol and BP Diet and Lifestyle Correction with Dr. Prashanthi, who you can also see on the screen along with me. I'm Anchal. I'm from Team Wellcure. And a lot of names that I see as entering on the participants list today sound familiar. So many of you have probably attended some of our programs in the past and know about Wellcure. But for those of you who are new to Wellcure, we are an online platform to promote the natural way of living, and we have a lot of blogs on our website which are around nature cure. We have healing stories of people who've cured themselves naturally. We have a lot of recipes of natural foods, and we do a lot of group programs as well as personal coaching programs where we help people make simple sustainable changes in their lives so that they can sync with the laws of nature and reap the benefits of good health. So let me begin by welcoming all of you and also welcoming Dr. Prashanthi on this session today. So let's begin by a few interesting facts about our heart. Our heart is the size of our fist, but it beats 115,000 times a day. The male heartbeat is around 70 to 72 times per minute, but the female's heart beats a bit more. It's 78 to 82 per minute. Our blood vessel system, if you were to take it out and lay it outside in a straight line, it's around 97,000 kilometers in length. And our heart starts beating 4 weeks after conception when we are in our mother's womb, and then it beats for life. It is working continuously. And the last fact, which is a very interesting one, is that the body can have a natural bypass. So there's a natural mechanism in the body that if an artery is very clogged, over a period of time, the body can make small capillary-like capillary-like vessels from that artery, creating a natural bypass, overcoming that area which is clogged. Of course, it's a process that takes time, but the body is capable of doing that. Also, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of heart disease in the younger generation today. So if we look around us, there are younger and younger people who are facing a lot of heart issues, be it blood pressure or cholesterol or other issues as well. And in India, heart diseases are the #1 cause of mortality. So the cardiovascular disease rate is 272 per 100,000 of population in India versus the global average of 235. So it's a serious health issue that does exist in our country. In fact, with the current pandemic, it has been said that the mortality rate in the cardiovascular disease patients is in the range of 12 to 18% compared to 1.7 to 3% in other patients. So it leads to a greater risk of mortality given the current situation that exists. So what are the causes of heart disease? So there's low consumption of fruits and vegetables, especially in their raw form. We are eating out more often, especially if we are living in cities. We're not eating home cooked food much. We are eating outside food a lot. There's a lot of influx of processed food products in our diet. There is stress, there is sedentary lifestyle, there is use of tobacco, alcohol, and of course, there are unhealthy living conditions, for example, pollution, a polluted environment that we live in, not just air, even the water. So all these factors play a role in heart disease. However, it need not be so negative as it is sounding. There is hope. In fact, Dr. Cladwell Esselstyn says, I just read out something he said: if the truth be known, coronary heart artery disease is a toothless paper tiger that need never ever exist, and if it does exist, it need never ever progress. You may be surprised to know that countries like Okinawa, the Papua Highlands of New Guinea, rural China, Central Africa, or with the Tarahumara Indians of northern Mexico have a very low incidence of heart disease. And the common thread is that they all thrive on whole food, plant-based nutrition. And there are many others also who are saying the same thing. So there is Dr. Dean Ornish, and he also supports this philosophy, and he says that heart disease is not an inevitable outcome of aging or heredity. So a lot of times we think that, you know, these problems will come as you age, or these problems will come because your parents had this problem, but that need not be the case. And these issues can be prevented as well as reversed by following a whole food plant-based diet. So even on our website, on the Wellcure website, we have a lot of natural healing stories of people who have been able to go off medicines. They've been able to cure their blood pressure and cholesterol issues by following a natural lifestyle. And you can go to our website and read some of these very inspiring stories that are mentioned over there. So now let me hand over the floor to Dr. Prashanthi, and she can speak to us more about the program, more about the background of heart diseases. And once she has done that, I will take you through how the program is structured, what all the program will include, so on and so forth. So Dr. Prashanthi, over to you.
Hi, everybody. How are you all doing today? I'm so glad to be here and glad to see so many people enrolled for to learn this nature cures principles, as well as to understand the basics of what a disease is, especially hypertension, cholesterol, as well as coronary artery disease. I want to thank Wellcure as well as Asha for putting me in this to give me this job. This is something I've been really passionate about, talking about diet, lifestyle, and in this field of, coronary artery disease is one of those things everybody is so scared to think about, or like as soon as they have a diagnosis of high blood pressure or any history of family history, they kind of get really frustrated about it, and they want to do anything they can in order to avoid having a heart attack or any kind of heart failure or any of those issues. So a little bit about myself. I graduated in 2002. Since then, I have been in and out, training as well as work. So for the past 18 years, I've been practicing internal medicine as well as cardiology. Like, like any kind of doctor who is trained in modern medicine, we do, I was into medications, procedures, and all those things. But after a couple of years, things didn't never make sense to me. Like, why are these patients still coming back, and why haven't we addressed the initial cause? Like blood pressure patients, for example, they would be on 2 medications or 3 medications, and then they would come back again, unable to adjust their medications because the blood pressure still keeps going up. Then we keep on adding more, and then after a couple of years down the lane, they end up with heart condition like a heart attack, heart failure, or kidney condition, or end-stage renal disease that we call as the patients are put on hemodialysis and all those. So I had a lot of confusion as well as a lot of unanswered questions, but life kept going on, and I was looking for answers still. Around that time, my daughter, who was back then, she was 5 years old, fell acutely ill. She has major gastrointestinal issues. We didn't have a clue what was going on. Through, again, I started searching on the net, and then we figured out her gastrointestinal issues. Could be the main reason was the Western diet, as well as the pesticides, as well as additives, many more things that are put together. So we cleaned up her diet. And then we didn't have to do anything, just cleaning up her diet, as well as giving her body time and space to heal herself. And she started getting better after a couple of months. And then we started looking into what actually is going around us. Around that time, I started I went back, and then we started, we were like, okay, let's just try to grow our own food, since we have some small patch of land that is attached to the house. So we put in few plants, and then after a couple of years, it just turned out into a small patch of permaculture that was just auto-regulating itself and yielding food around the year for us. That's when I started looking at things, started connecting things back to nature. So we are nature and nature is us. Like, how did we even think about deviating ourselves from nature and think we can survive and do all these? So things started making sense to me more and more, and then putting things into perspective. So I started reading more about, Western diet, Western civilization, and how agriculture is being done all around the world. I mean, I have some background of agriculture about farming in India, but once I started looking more about what is going on here in the United States, I kind of like everything started making sense to me. Around the time, I met few friends online. I'm going to name them very shortly. They are very well known in Wellcure circles. They're ardent followers of nature cure principles. So they started sharing articles with me, as well as on their Facebook, on their on their timeline. Each and every article was like feast to my brain. Like they started answering all the questions that I had regarding disease, what modern medicine calls it as a disease, and what nature cures, which has been around for more than a century or 2 centuries, really looks at it. Then, so initially I met Asha first, who started talking about, toxemia theory. And then Smita was the one who was guiding a lot of people about diet. And then Kalyan would pose a lot of complex questions, and he would answer it in his own way, which was actually really, like, if you read any of their articles, things are things which just fit in place. So then again, I started reading more books on nature cures, and I started looking for finding more and more answers. So the basic answer that I found to all these, whatever modern medicine wants to call it, be it hypertension, be it cholesterol, thyroid problem, diabetes, migraine, eczema, whatever, these are just few examples, but each and everything has boiled down to what we call as internal toxicity or toxemia. So with that in mind, I started putting things into perspective, started more and more gearing my practice towards with talking to patients about cleaning up their internal environment, internal toxicity. So here we are. So nature cures is it's a really very well-known science. It's an ancient science, but somehow it's a lost and forgotten art. That's what I'm going to call it as. But now we are going to take it as an empowerment movement, because it's going to teach us how to live well, how to breathe better, how to eat decently well, and clean our internal toxicity, internal toxins, or take some time to clean ourselves as, and the body itself is self-regulatory thing, because if we give it some time and space, it's just going to heal by itself. It doesn't need any kind of external agents or any kind of external interventions. So how I started applying this one to my practice, this is how it is. Every day I used to go and then, talk to my patients. So I would go, and then their blood pressure is up, for example. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Why is your blood pressure up? So they're like, oh no, doctor, we don't know what we are doing wrong, because we've been cooking at home and we never eat out. So, okay, what is it you're cooking at home? Oh, we do these sandwiches at home. Like, we take the bread, store-bought bread, of course, and then put some lettuce and some tomato, and then a slice of meat and a cheese. This is how we are making our sandwiches. These are all homemade sandwiches. Then that kind of helps us understand why they're not getting better, or why their numbers are not improving. The same thing, we never add salt to our food. Okay, so what is it you're cooking? Oh, we take these canned tomatoes and canned beans, and we are making our own chili at home. So canned tomatoes and canned chili, that's where their sodium or the toxins that are building up in their system are coming from. So, and then I would send them to a nutritionist, okay? So the nutritionist would just give them sheets and sheets of paper explaining, you have to do 2-gram sodium diet and the 1800 calorie American Diabetic Association recommended diet. And then she would show them how to get these apps and all, how to calorie count. Then they would come back and ask me, okay, what is a 2-gram? Like, how do we calculate 2 grams? So I'll be like, just sprinkle a little bit of salt on your food. That will be good enough. That would be because I didn't have proper training into how to train them, what to eat. I know how to eat because of my origins, East Asian origins. But the thing is, for them, it's totally new to them, and for me to teach how I cook at home is not going to be possible in the 20-30 minutes I see them in clinic. Then as I started researching more, reading more on Wellcure as well as from my friends on Nature Cure followers, I had a concrete idea about how to teach my patients about what to eat, how to regulate themselves, how much to eat, and everything kind of fit in place once I started following Nature Cure's principles at work. So here we are. So we talk a lot about ingredients in food and how they're not supposed to be buying any kind of processed foods, or how they can cook at home using simple ingredients, or eat whole predominant raw foods in order to just not bother about cooking and thinking more about salt and all this. So with that in mind, Nature Cures is wonderful. It's going to help us, take back our health, as well as, conquer our fears, because health is such a simple thing. Once you really look at the whole principle of toxemia and how toxin accumulation is the one that's causing all these problems to us. So welcome to the empowerment movement, as well as this just simple revolution, what we call as Nature Cures. Next slide, please. So we prepared few cases here as what to expect from this program. So as Anchal was telling, coronary artery disease, any kind of heart condition, be it hypertension, cholesterol, all this has gone up a whole lot in the past 20 years with what we call as modern living, and modern medicine wasn't able to bridge anything in there. So it wasn't able to mitigate or bring it down. So first case is we have a 70-year-old gentleman who just has undergone a bypass surgery. He was still left on, he still has on and off chest pain that he's been having even with minimal activity, and he was sent home. His blood pressure is all over the place, but then when he went to see his doctor again, his doctor just said, oh, I'm going to increase some of your medications, tweak them a little bit, and told him, okay, consider low salt diet. So poor guy, he went home. He's a 70-year-old guy. He just had his surgery. He has no clue what his low salt diet is. So someone told him to consult whole food plant-based diet expert that they know. So he quit all animal products, processed foods, as well as oil. And he increased his raw intake, which really helped him a whole lot with healing, as well as increased, he started eating only fruits for breakfast, which is a huge, big jump for him. So he was able to gradually walk more and more blocks. His angina went down. He healed well, because sternal incision that we do for bypass is really painful. It takes at least 3 or 4 months for patients to heal. But his body, with his changes in his diet, was able to heal it really quickly, because he was able to use much more energy in healing rather than in his digestion process. And so all his gradually, over the course of next 6 months, his medications were tapered off, and he lost 20 pounds of weight, and he's been doing really well. So this is how diet is going to come to, diet as well as lifestyle changes are going to come to our rescue, right after in these kind of events. So it's really helpful if I really wish we have such kind of support for all our bypass as well as post and patients in the hospital, for them to feel better, because they keep coming back after a couple of months, couple of years. It's the same situation. Their diet hasn't changed, their lifestyle hasn't changed, And, medications, at some point we run out of them. How many more? How many do we have? We barely have 5 or 6 of them in the world of cardiology that have really been in use for the past couple of decades. So this is what we do. So let's move on to case 2. Case 2 is about a 38-year-old young techie. So I'm sure most of you are young folks in this group. So, you have all these health fairs that are conducted at your workplace. So he went there, he had his blood pressure checked, and his blood pressure at that time came out as 180/90. He just had his coffee when he went and took his blood pressure. He was very stressed out the whole week. He kept checking it a few times the following week, but still his blood pressure was in the range of, top numbers were like 180/160, bottom was 70/80. His wife, they were on a plant-based diet. So it is called plant-based diet, but they weren't really looking at the whole ingredient list or the processed food that they have been eating. So his wife approached one more detox specialist in one of the programs. They quit all processed foods at the time, and he started taking more raw to work, increased his fruit intake, and he started maintaining a strict gap of 14 to 16 hours between his last meal of the day as well as the first meal of the next day, in order to give more time for that body to eliminate the toxins that have been built up. So his blood pressure, without any other further intervention, has dropped drastically. Now he's in the systolic blood pressure ranges of around 160, 140. That's that's a decent number for him after a very long time. And his weight dropped like 10 to 15 pounds in 6 months. Now he's much more energetic, and he's looking forward to bringing it down more as he keeps cleaning his internal toxicity that has been built up over the past 38 years. And also his parents were also really sick, have been sick for a while. So that also kind of added up to his internal toxicity. So this toxicity is the one that's been passed on for generations. It's not the DNA, it's not the other things, but the toxicity is the one, as well as, our eating habits. What we eat kind of reflects our cultural habits, what we eat as a family or the group together. So all those things influence a whole lot of what happens to us, how these toxins build up, and what kind of modern diseases we build up. Next slide, please. So with that, I'm going to try to build a bridge between what modern day disease our medicine things and what actually it is. So we're going to introduce few topics to you today. So the first and foremost is vitality, or what we call as prana shakti. That's the one that we are all born with. So as long as the ether or the life force strikes in us once we are conceived, we all are born with some amount of vitality. That's what we call as vitality. So I'm born with X amount. My daughter is born with Y amount, and each and every one has their own. There is nothing we can do to change this. It's been given to us, and we have to be with that. But what we can do is we can conserve it, and we can maintain it, and we can keep it to ourselves and not waste it, so that we can live better. So how do we conserve vitality? First thing is living right, eating well, taking time to remove those toxins that have been building up in our systems, and sleeping well, and also thinking well, as well as emotionally we have to be much more grounded, as well as lots and lots of gratitude. That's how we conserve our vitality. Now, coming to toxins. So modern medicine, as well as regular things, all of them agree on one thing. So there is a cell. All of us are made up of billions and billions of cells, right? Each cell has a cell membrane, and then the cell membrane we're going to talk about later in more about cholesterol topic. But each cell is a unit and a functioning unit of itself. So whenever there is a cell, in order for a cell to live, there is going to be building up, repairing, healing, a lot of things that take place. So whenever a cell is functioning, there are toxins that are built up. So even a even if you take a person, like a person who really lives on fruits and vegetables, lives in a pristine Himalayan environment, he also has toxins. Only thing is he has lesser amount of toxins when compared to a city dweller like all of us, who have stressful lifestyles. So he also needs to eliminate his toxins, but his toxin load is comparatively lower when compared to toxins of what we have in our system. So we need to give this, so whatever this toxin built up is what we call as the disease. The more the amount of toxin that's built up, the more we kind of like how migraines, hypertension, cholesterol problems, and all those things. What we need to do is we need to give the body time. First thing is we have to stop inputting more toxins into the system, and also we have to give body time to clean off these toxins. That's how we maintain the internal environment at an optimum state, so that we don't have all these modern day diseases of high blood pressure or diabetes or cholesterol problems. So we have different organs in our system that kind of like work together in order to remove these toxins. For example, we have kidney. Kidney is an excretory organ. It works very well. Only thing is we need to give it some time to eliminate those toxins. And then skin kind of like sweat and everything. It's one of the largest it's the largest organ for excretion. So whenever you see a patient with eczema, that means the skin is excreting toxins. It has nothing to do with a particular skin condition or anything on that spot, but it has to do with internal toxicity. Then lungs are always there. So lungs are the ones that kind of like function 24/7, just like any other organ for excretion, and they are the ones that kind of do it. And then we have liver. Kind of what liver does is it takes all these toxins, builds them into different kinds of molecules which are capable, which are fit enough to be excreted. So we have our skin, we have our kidneys, we have our lungs working together to eliminate this toxemia that's being built up just because we are living. With that, so what happens when we overload our system with the toxins is the result is whatever we call as modern day diseases. So let's review this slide that we have here. So toxin buildup is the one that kind of matters what kind of disease we manifest. So unhealthy lifestyle builds up toxins. The more the unhealthy lifestyle we have, the more toxins we build up. So, and then this toxemia is kind of like an indicator by the body saying that, okay, I'm built up with toxins, stop doing whatever you're doing and eliminate them. Otherwise, I'm going to use my plan B, which is hypertension. I'm going to start using more cholesterol. And or if you don't stop at plan B, I'm going to proceed on to plan C, which is going to affect the organs. So the more toxin build up, the more we don't take care of our body, we end up with kidney problems, kidney failure, that's what we call as, and patients are put on what we call as dialysis, or a heart failure, and so on and so forth. So plan A, plan B, plan C, and then plan D is usually, death. So that's how things progress with inbuilt toxemia that hasn't been taken care of in our body. So body is self-healing. There is nothing we have to do. Only thing we have to do is give it time and space and stop the input of toxins in it. And then it's just going to maintain its self-regulatory state. So I hope you have an understanding about toxemia. You have an understanding about vitality. These are the two important topics. Nature Cure doesn't have too many definitions or too much vocabulary. All we need to know is vitality. The second topic is toxemia. Can we go to next slide, please, Anshu? So today we are here to talk about this one, what we call as high blood pressure. So I'm going to define to you two different ways. One is the definition of modern medicine. We all know what we do. We go there, we go to the clinic, they check our blood pressure with a cuff. We call it as a sphygmomanometer. And then it has a top number, it has a bottom number, as well as it gives our heart rate. So blood pressure is kind of, there is an arbitrary number that has been set. We call 120/80 as a normal number. But if you take me, or like, everybody has different numbers. For example, for me, my blood pressure is 90/60. For me, 120/80 is considered a little on the higher side of my blood pressure, or I'll be labeled as borderline. And for some people, 130/80, as they age, progressively age, our blood pressure numbers goes up because of hardening of the blood vessels. Again, it has to do with the toxemia and everything that has been built up. So for children, if you take children, they have high heart rate, they have low blood pressure. That's how it is. And for elderly, if you take them, they have low heart rate, they have high blood pressure. So different parts of the day, we have different kinds of blood pressure. When you wake up in the morning, usually it's lower. As we go on during the day, our blood pressure kind of goes up and down, depending upon our anxiety levels, our stress levels, and all those add up. And most of the times what happens in my clinic is these patients, they just sit there waiting in the waiting room. They have a coffee or they drink a soda, and then they come for the blood pressure check. And blood pressure usually goes up by 20 or 30 points. So in these conditions, we don't really take blood pressure as we don't really take those numbers. We kind of like tell them to take deep breaths, pause, take de-stress themselves, sit in a calm room. We repeat their blood pressures again, and most of the times it comes down to by 30 or 20 points, the top numbers that what we're talking about. So I have seen multiple times people are there, at our family gatherings or so. My family members are like, oh, I've been diagnosed with high blood pressure and I'm taking these 2 pills. I'm like, okay, where are these? Why are you even taking these 2 pills? What are your numbers? So they're like, oh, it has been like one time, it has been top number is 150. So they told me to take these medications, which is totally wrong on the part of everybody, on the part of the patient as well as the part of the doctor. This has nothing to do, instead of talking about, telling them to make some lifestyle changes and all, they've been really hit hard with medications. Now I'm going to turn towards how Nature Cure feels about what Nature Cure talks about this one. So blood pressure is nothing but built up toxins in our system. So what happens is our blood is supposed to be really free flowing, like the pristine rivers that start off in the mountains, okay? So let's take that river that's flowing down from the mountains. It passes through the villages. So some amount of sludge is added to it. Once it enters the city, that's our modern day lifestyle and everything. All the gutters in the cities are open into the rivers, so there's much more sludge that's added to it, and then the chemicals and the plastic and everything. So what happens to the pristine free-flowing river? Toxins are added to it, and it's kind of like sluggish. It's not flowing. So whenever the blood is not flowing, what happens is there is a sluggish flow. So the tissues are not going to get enough oxygen as well as nutrients. So what does the body do? It clamps down on them. So what happens when they clamp down is the velocity, the perfusion improves to the tissues. So it's a body's mechanism in order to maintain perfusion. So this clamping down is a secondary reaction of the body to the built up toxins. So in order to maintain this, so once it keeps clamping down, there are a lot of things that goes on in the body, because kidneys start detecting low perfusion. So it starts secreting a lot of hormones in order to make the blood vessels clamp down much more. So this clamping down that's what we call as high blood pressure or hypertension. So what modern medicine does is it starts treating this clamping down, which is not the right thing to do, because this clamping down is a reaction to toxemia. So instead of addressing the toxemia, internal toxins that we have built up during the various metabolic processes and our unnatural lifestyles, modern medicine starts treating this clamping, which is not the right thing to do. So what do? We have to treat the toxemia, not this clamping down. So if we start treating this clamping down, then body goes on to plan C, which is heart failure and end-stage renal disease. Then even if we start treating that one too, then it goes on to plan D, which is death. So I hope I made it clear for you. So blood pressure is nothing but toxemia. Treating the blood pressure is not the thing. Treating the clamping down of the blood vessels is not the right thing to do. Treating the toxemia, letting the toxins out of the system is the only thing we have to do for high blood pressure. Okay, Anshul, can we go to the next one? So next comes the problem of cholesterol. Cholesterol is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. It's really like, you know, lipid profiles they are done, and then patients are started on cholesterol medication, and then patients start having adverse reactions to these cholesterol medications. And there is so much that's going on with this. And nowadays, most of the primary care officers, they kind of like talk about lipid profiles, and then they have these calculations that they do, and then they say, oh, your risk of having a heart condition with this amount of cholesterol that you have, the risk of having heart attacks, heart condition is 20%, 10%, or whatever numbers that the apps are going to, you know, spit out. And then they're like, okay, at this risk of 20%, we're going to put you on a cholesterol medication at this risk. And then they talk a little bit about, you know, lifestyle changes. They're like, oh, start cutting down on your fat intake, don't eat oily food. But they never even talk much deeper into what is cholesterol, what has been happening to the body, and what needs to be done. We all need cholesterol. Cholesterol is a very important thing. So our brain, so I'm going to use fat, lipid, and cholesterol interchangeably here for the next 5 minutes. All we need is fat. Fat is essential for brain functioning. And I remember I told you a cell, each cell has a cell membrane around it. Each cell membrane has protein as well as lipid in the cell membrane, which is really important for each cell to function on its own. Otherwise, the cell will be like just a blob of cytoplasm without any cell membrane, and there is no proper definition of a cell. So we all need lipids, and also cholesterol is needed for hormones. For example, all our sex hormones, steroid hormones, corticosteroids, and everything is made up of, one of the vital thing is ingredient is cholesterol. Next is vitamin D. So cholesterol is much needed. So cholesterol can be from multiple forms. You know, when you're eating animal foods, it has cholesterol in it. Our liver has capability of making its own cholesterol. So cholesterol comes from various sources, from our food, if we eat animal products, as well as from the liver. Liver can produce its own. And also, why does liver produce its own? Because liver, whenever it senses inflammation. So now I'm going to use the word acids. Toxins or acids are used interchangeably here. So cholesterol is majorly, it's a protective mechanism of the body. That's how I'm going to talk about it. So what happens is when we start building up lots and lots of internal toxins or acids from various acts of metabolism or from animal products, mostly acids come from animal products. So it's there in the circulation. Acids burn us down. It burns the systems. So body has to do something about it. Either it produces more water. That's the reason why we all tend to, like, there are people who say, oh, my legs are swollen. I have edema of my legs. So that's one. And then the second one is this cholesterol production. So there is acid in the system. Cholesterol is buffer. It's an alkalizing agent. So it kind of binds with this acid and stops the acid from burning the system. So, and then this cholesterol and then the acid that are combined, they could go on to various blood vessels. For example, the one that you're seeing in the picture, the white or the creamy layer is the waxy material. That's the cholesterol as well as the acid that have reacted. So they have to go somewhere. So they go and deposit themselves in various parts of the body. Most of the times they end up as lipid plaques in the coronaries. That's what we call as coronary artery disease. So those lipid plaques, on top of it, then there's the calcium, which is also a base or alkali, and then they all put together, we have these various amounts of lipid or atherosclerotic plaques that are developed, that we start getting. So as we age, the more and more plaques develop. Nowadays, what we are seeing is even in a 20, 30-year-old, we tend to see these lipid plaques, and that's how they end up with heart attacks. Like you may have heard about a 35-year-old with a heart attack or who passed away after a heart attack. So this is like the more, like in the past, it used to be 60 or 70. Now the trend is kind of like moving back to like, the younger and younger population. That's what we are seeing, because toxemia has been built up since day one, or even before the conception. Even like if you look at their family, like if the parents, they themselves were very sick at the time. So it's all passed down. So let's review one more time about, let me just make sure I stole everything. So what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a very important tool in the body. It's much needed. We can't zero on the cholesterol. There was once upon a time, there was a movement like lower the cholesterol. Like, there were numbers, they were trying to lower them with a lot of like medications with statins. It actually backfired. A lot of patients had a lot of side effects, especially like a lot of dementia, severe amount of muscle aches, and myalgias, and they couldn't even function. Their walking capacity, everything has gone down a whole lot. So here we have cholesterol, here we have acids. This is addressing cholesterol is not the right thing to do. We need to address the root cause, which is the acid or the toxin built up. Addressing cholesterol and making our lipid profiles look prettier is extremely a wrong thing to do. So cholesterol is there. It's a helper. It's there for a reason. So rather than bombarding on it with lots of statin medications and everything, we need to address the acids that are built up. So that's in short about cholesterol and toxemia. So let me make sure I just said everything about what we need to talk about it. So how is it made? It's made in the liver. It comes from from food, the animal products. So this is in short about toxemia, how modern medicine views toxemia, and how we start treating the wrong thing, like addressing hypertension, addressing cholesterol, rather than addressing root causes. So this program is more geared towards how we address our toxemia, how we kind of like, remove those toxins so we can address our hypertension as well as cholesterol, as well as future risk for coronary artery disease. So welcome to the empowerment movement. You are your own doctors. We are what we eat. So let's start the process. And I think this is going to be a revolution, because we are going to teach everybody, as well as we're going to teach the rest of the community, medical community too, because we need a huge change. It's really, things are really going out of hand, and we need to take them back into our hands.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanthi. That was quite informative, and I think also fascinating to see how you are viewing the nature cure world, given that you are a practitioner of Western medicine, how you are integrating the two to really solve the problem from the root level. I'm sure our audience has lots of questions for you. So before we open that up, let me quickly take you all through the program details. So if you are wondering whether this program is for you or not, then you can just check if you can relate to any of these questions. What causes blood pressure issues, what causes cholesterol issues, can I save myself and my loved ones from these problems, can they be cured, can I become medicine free, can I become free of these diseases, how can I do so? And I have a very busy lifestyle, so how do I take care of all this, diet, yoga, I mean so many lifestyle aspects, how do I really incorporate them? That's of course the practical challenge, and Dr. Prashanthi will help us in addressing that during the program. So the program is not about home remedies, because home remedies are always short term and they will not help. They might give relief, temporary relief, but they will not help you in addressing the root cause, and therefore the problem is going to keep coming back every now and then. So our program is about making diet and lifestyle changes that help you take care of your health, take care of your blood pressure, cholesterol, in the most holistic manner. We will also be sharing with you a heart-friendly diet plan, which is based on nature's laws, which you can start practicing on in your everyday life. We'll also share with you a cookbook with around 30 recipes, so that your journey of having whole plant-based foods is facilitated. We will also be teaching you a few nature cure therapies, which will help you support your heart health. Now, the program is structured as follows. There will be 4 Zoom sessions that we would be conducting, and these are weekend sessions. So they would be happening starting next Saturday. They would be happening on Saturday and Sunday, 5 to 6 p.m. And every session has a theme. So session 1 and session 2 are about heartier choices for nutrition. So we'll be looking at various diet aspects, especially with reference to a good heart health. So we'll be speaking about living foods for life, chlorophyll from greens, superfoods for heart health, salt, healthy oils, what are the negative foods, and like I said, we'll be giving you a diet plan. So Dr. Prashanthi will help us demystify, there's so much about nutrition which is out there, but how do we demystify that and make choices which are simple and sustainable. And in the 3rd and 4th session, which is going to be the following Saturday and Sunday, 24th and 25th October, we'll be taking you through a few nature cure therapies, and we will also help you practice a few de-stressing techniques. So that's the structure of the program, and the program is priced at rupees 999, but right now we have an early bird offer going. So right now the price is 849. So these are the details. If you would like to register, you can scan the code and register right away, or you could also register by making the payment on Google Pay or Paytm. So I leave this slide on the screen, and Dr. Prashanthi, I'll start picking up the questions that are coming up.
Yeah, sure. Kind of looked at them a little bit, yes.
Okay. So, okay, Nihar is asking, I have high TG around above 500, but cholesterol is within 150. Will this program help me?
Okay, let me address this one with you. Let's use the word WACO, because that's the reason why, lipid profile as WACO, because lipid profiles can be all over the place. The thing, as I mentioned earlier, it's all because of toxemia that has been built. So once the toxemia is kind of out of control, then lipid profiles go really abnormal, up and down. They're all over the place. There is no real meaning to studying these lipid profiles or trying to make them look prettier with the help of cholesterol medications without addressing this problem with the root cause, which is out of control toxemia. So yes, this program is for you because it's going to address, we're going to look at what you've been eating, how your lifestyle has been. And once you really correct it and let the toxins out of the system, this cholesterol profile, the lipid profile that's kind of all over the place, is going to reverse back to within the normal range. So it's just an indicator of toxemia. So you need to address toxemia. There are no medications, or there is nothing we can do to make it look pretty at this point.
Next question from Vanita Anand. Plant-based whole foods, will it help in reversing cholesterol levels?
Of course, yes. As I mentioned earlier, cholesterol is nothing but because of inbuilt toxins or acids. That's the reason why body starts generating cholesterol. So address the root cause, toxins and the acids. So you need to change the way you've been eating, as well as how the amount of time we give for the toxins to come out of the system. Then the cholesterol is going to settle down by itself.
Poonam is asking, how do we lower triglycerides?
Same thing that I answered for Nihar. Address the root cause. Triglycerides are all over the place because of internal toxins. So start looking at your diet and your lifestyle, and exercise is the one more thing that's going to help you. Do not treat anything. Do not do anything to lower the triglycerides at this point. Let's start with the diet first and see how it's going to help you.
Anupama is asking, my son has some allergy and breathing problem when he eats some fruits like watermelon, papaya. Want to increase raw for him, but with fruits he's getting this breathing problem, and he was operated for heart for bicuspid valve using ROS. I'm worried about this. How to handle this? Any tips for me, please? What's
Uh,
triggering his breathing problem?
So his breathing problem could be, I mean, I need to like, is it wheezing? I need to know more about it, because does he have any other problems? Because if it's wheezing, it's entirely different from breathing problem from fluid issues in the lungs. So there are two different kind of things, but I think I know this, Anupam, it's wheezing. Okay, it's wheezing. I try to see if you can, how much dairy does the child take? That's the most important part. If there is dairy in the, so if there is dairy, okay. If there is no dairy, then start with breathing exercises and see how he can do. And also just gradually increase his intake of papaya and watermelon and do whatever other fruits he's tolerating. That's the only way we can set it up. But and also his increases, like if he must be deconditioned. So start making him like, do exercises little bit at a time. Like, if he's walking for 10 minutes today, tomorrow he's going to walk for 15 minutes, do those things. But yeah, it will settle down.
Okay, next one from Ranjita. If we miss the 24th and 25th session, how can you help us? So I think I forgot to mention, all sessions would be recorded and the recordings will be shared with all of you. So if you miss any sessions, you can always go back and watch that session through the recording. Okay, Deepti is asking, arthritis and cholesterol, are they related?
Yeah, everything is internal toxemia. So arthritis is nothing but acids that are built up around the joints. So that's the reason why you have inflammation. Cholesterol is also for the acids, so they're all related.
Okay, my colleague Swatantra has also shared the Razorpay link and the Google link in the chat section. So if you want, you can click on that and register from there as well. It will be easier. Anu is asking, my cholesterol is 237. How to control?
Same thing, Anu. You need to participate in this program. See what we've been talking about. Try to implement each and everything we've been talking in this program for the next 6 months, and let's work on decreasing your toxins and acids in the body. Automatically, your cholesterol is going to come down. Never work on making your cholesterol profile look prettier or lower the numbers without trying to deal with the diet and your lifestyle. It doesn't work that way. Cholesterol medications are extremely toxic. Some people react in such a way that some of them really end up with, I've seen patients end up with, what we call as muscle breakdown and kidney shutdown, just because they were started on cholesterol medications in order to make their numbers look pretty, without addressing diet or the accumulation of toxins. So never ever start cholesterol medications just for abnormal lipid profiles.
And I think I would also like to mention that, when we say that the first 2 sessions are about nutrition, it's not just about, what is right to eat and what is wrong to eat. It's also important that, are you eating food at the right time as per the body's circadian rhythm? Are you eating the foods in the right combinations? Because whatever you eat has to be digested also. There is no point in eating the best of foods, the healthiest of foods, but body is not able to assimilate them because you're not eating in the right combination. So all these aspects will be covered by Dr. Prashanthi in the nutrition sessions that we have. Nitya is asking, how can one get toxins when in the womb? Does breastfeeding transfer the toxins a mom has to the baby?
Yeah, that's one more huge topic, maternal health as well as fetal health and infant health. I'm just going to say, whatever lifestyle you have built up prior to your conception is the one that's going to really affect what is going to happen to your baby. That's one more huge topic to address. I don't know if they have any sessions, but that's what, it's the same thing. Whatever your previous lifestyle, what your eating habit has been, everything adds up. And even your maternal, like even your mom's health, your grandmother's health. Remember, you were born in your grandmother's womb itself, like the ovum that makes you is already made in your grandmother's womb. So all the toxemia that has been built up in generations is going to reflect in what your fetus is going to go. I mean, what your fetus is going to get. As breastfeeding also will transmit toxins, but just because of that, do not ever give up breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is the only one thing that we all that the babies that's the best nutrition in the world. That's the best vaccine in the world. So just because you think you're going to transmit toxins through breast milk, don't stop breastfeeding. Just clean up your diet, eat right, things will be better.
Mini is asking, I have chronic inflammation in my body. How will this program help me?
Chronic inflammation is nothing but acids or toxins that are built up in your system. So this program is going to show you a way how to live better and how to clean up your system. So over the course of, if you really follow it 100%, this is going to clean up your system and the inflammation is going to go down.
Daisy is asking, for high BP, I have been advised medication since 2014 to take Attilol D, half a pill in the morning. How will this program help to get rid of medication?
Of course, it is going to help you get rid of the medications. As long as once you're moving those toxins out, remember I said there are toxins here. In reaction to the toxins, your blood vessels are clamping down. So this clamping down is the one that they're treating with atenolol D, but they haven't addressed the problem of toxins on the other side. So once you address the toxins and then the clamping down goes down, your blood vessels are going to open up more, and you won't be needing any kind of blood pressure medications. Follow this program. Again, I'm saying that repeat the same thing. I'm repeating the same thing. If you do this program 100% for the next 6 months and be on this lifestyle, majority of the medications, we can tweak them down, we can wean you off, we can do all this for majority of the medications.
Next question is thyroid and cholesterol interrelated.
Yes, toxins. Everything boils down to internal toxemia, thyroid, and cholesterol. So I just recently, we have 2 or 3 years ago, we started a group, long time ago. It was mainly for, just sharing basic plant-based recipes. Once we were talking about it, like a lot of people after 6 months, they started telling us, oh, we cut down our thyroid medications. We stopped taking our thyroid medications. Since we've been off of dairy, we didn't need any thyroid medications. That's how wonderful plant-based, whole food plant-based diet is for thyroid medications. But it has to be done gradually under expert guidance, but it really helps a whole lot.
Madhu is asking, can I get rid of nasal polyps through diet? So just to answer that, Madhu, this program is about cholesterol and blood pressure issues. But yes, definitely nasal polyps can also be taken care of through diet and lifestyle. It can never be just diet or just lifestyle. It has to be a good combination of both. So I would suggest you could probably explore our personal coaching program, the individualized program where we work one-on-one with people. You could explore that program if you want to try this. Ranjita is asking, how long is the recorded session available? So Ranjita, I just have to check that with my team, but it is definitely available for 30 days. It could be slightly more than that also, but it's definitely available for a month. Vaishali, I've answered that question. Vanita is asking, will we get a chance to speak to Dr. Prashanthi later in the session? So Vanita, in each of the sessions, just like today, first Dr. Prashanthi would be delivering her lecture, and after that the session will be open for your Q&A. Similar to what is happening today. So in that window, you can share any of your concerns or any questions that you have, you can ask during that time. Priya is asking, can LDL be reduced and HDL be improved by changing food habits?
Yes, of course it is. It's going to work very well. That's what I'm saying. Don't look at the numbers, work on your lifestyle. And we're going to, once you work on it, all the numbers are going to come back to where they were. So don't worry about making your cholesterol profiles looking normal or within the normal range just with medications.
Okay. So there's a follow-up question from Anupama on her son. So Anupama, I think the better approach would be that
I
you do the group.
know this, I know her. Maybe she can just talk to me
Yeah.
offline. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was about to suggest, that
Mhm.
because your questions are very specific to the issue at hand, it
Mhm.
would be better if Anupama, you speak one-on-one with Dr. Prashanthi. So do the group program, that will definitely help, but whatever customization is needed given your specific needs, I think those will be best addressed one-on-one. Poonam is asking how to improve HDL. So how to improve HDL, LDL, BP, etc., etc. That is what the program is about. So in each of the sessions,
Yeah,
Dr.
it's
Prashant.
not like one answer to this one. There is not one single sentence answer. Go through the program, to look through it, take a look at it, and start working on it. So for the next 6 months, you're going to be on a mission to change everything, including your lifestyle, and things are really going to look huge. I mean, like huge lot of sense is going to make to you, all of you.
Okay. I have some, Muruga Shankari saying this program is amazing. Thanks, Wellcure, and thanks, Dr. Prashanti. Looking forward
You're
to the
welcome.
sessions. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you all.
Ranjita's asking if BP 140, 150, oblique 90, 112, heartbeat more than 85, lipid profile not great, will this program help? Hectic schedule and throbbing headache every day.
Yes, this is the kind of program you need. You need a break from your hectic schedule and you have to start working on yourself. Your body is saying, I'm loaded with toxins, please do something. That's what the indicators are all showing. So please follow the program and start working on your body because your health is in your hands.
Ranjita is asking how do we talk to Dr. Prashanti offline? So Ranjita, you can just get in touch with us with Wellcure. I think you're already connected to us, and we'll help to put you in touch with Dr. Prashanti if you want to do a personal session with her. Okay. Swati is asking, can we have link of this program? So Swati, do you mean the payment link? If yes, it's there in the chats. If you could pick it up from there. Next question again from Ranjita. In Nature Cure, it is said fats in natural form should be used instead of cooking oils. Will natural fats like those in nuts not increase the cholesterol? Uh, So Ranjita will be addressing that in the nutrition session. There is a whole chapter on oil, so this will be covered over there. Prashanti, this is a comment for you. Vanita is saying, thank you, doctor. You were very inspiring.
Oh, I mean, I hope to see major changes. That's the one that's going to inspire me more. So yeah, let's all rock together. So
Yeah. And Prashanti had, while she was mentioning the names of people she wanted to thank at the beginning of the program, she mentioned Asha, Shivaram, and Smita Himadri, and I think both of them are on this call in this session as well. And Smita is mentioning awesome initiative to spread the message from the people who are on the front line, like Dr. Prashanti.
yeah, thanks a lot, Smita. You're a huge inspiration, and yeah, you are the expert here. So yeah.
Okay. So, Swati, if you're looking for today's recording, yes, that will be shared. So, everyone who's on this session, we'll be sharing the recording of today's session as well with all of you. Do pass it around. I mean, even if you don't want to join the program, I mean, I'm sure all of us know so many people who are struggling with cholesterol and BP. Actually, people sometimes don't even treat cholesterol as an issue anymore because they've got so used to it, you know.
Mhm.
But it has repercussions on your health because everything in the body is related. The health issues are only going to become bigger if you don't address the ones that you have right now. So please share the recording with your family and friends and anyone you think would benefit from the program. Okay. Okay, thank you, Vinita. Ranjita has enrolled. Okay. So again, Ranjita is saying, Dr. Prashanthi, you're very motivating.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's really the way I'm looking at things right now. Unless the public wake up and take things into control, I mean, to public is common people wake up and take things under control and be in charge of their health. Things are really going to get really, really surreal from now on, especially now after this pandemic or whatever they've been talking about. This is it's really a situation of emergency that we all need to wake up and start questioning and start doing things in a better way.
So Swati Jain is asking, I know one of my relatives, she's early 40s, slim, trim, regularly exercises, food intake control, yet she is very high on cholesterol. So Swati, if she joins the program, like I said, you know, a lot of times we think we are eating healthy, but that is not actually the case. And especially, you know, we assume that if we are eating home cooked food, if we are eating the traditional food, then we are eating healthy. But a lot of times that is not the case. And like I said, what time you are eating, what foods, in what combinations, all that matters. So do encourage her to join the program. I think it will help her in making tweaks in whatever health lifestyle she's following.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We think we are eating healthy until we really look at what we are doing. And that's when we start realizing what is wrong with what we've been doing.
Okay, so I think, Dr. Prashanthi, I think we've answered all the questions that were there in the chat section. So that brings us to the end of the session today. And I really hope that all of you found this useful, especially having Dr. Prashanthi on board as an expert on the program is really very heartening for all of us. And the program is, of course, about having a healthy heart. So we look forward to more and more of you joining the program and making the most of it. We start next Saturday. So do pass the word around. And Swati, the price is $849. It's mentioned on the screen. You can take it from there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Prashanthi. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you,
time.
everybody, for joining, and hope to meet you on the other side very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.